welcome back to Life Unrehearsed. Matt Del Vecchio here. It's Movember, and we just heard the moving story from Vanessa DaCosta. Just gave her a huge hug as she left the studio. She was telling us about her brother who recently died by suicide and how she wants to do whatever she can to advocate for men's mental health. And you know what? There's a good spokesperson, and I wish Vanessa and her family all the best. The Movember movement has made great strides concerning mental health and other men's health challenges, and I'm very pleased to have their spokesperson on the line, Mr. Evan Connor. Evan, welcome to Life Unrehearsed.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here this afternoon.
Well, thank you for joining me. Big month, obviously, Movember, Evan. For those of our listeners that may not know about it, what is Movember and what causes does it support?
Yeah, no, we're actually a third of the way through the hairy month, and for those that don't know, Movember is the leading charity really aimed at changing the face of men's health. What started as very much a grassroots campaign intended to raise funds and awareness for prostate cancer has become really a global movement. And our approach, and when looking at men's health, it's a much more holistic approach than when we even started. And we now look into things like prostate cancer, testicular cancer, men's mental health, and suicide prevention. We're really taking them all on. And this campaign itself is actually our 20th campaign globally and our 17th here in Canada. And it's a lot of fun, but certainly when it comes to our cause areas, there are definitely things that are serious. And our hope is the mustache allows men and their loved ones to talk about these important issues and really try to reduce the stigma often associated to them.
Amazing. 17 years already here in Canada. And I want to address each of those causes that Movember is supporting, starting with prostate and testicular cancer. I was amazed at how prevalent it is.
Yeah, it's, I've been with Movember for 6 years, so I've met men from across the country impacted by both prostate and testicular cancer. And a lot of guys don't actually realize that when it comes to prostate cancer, 1 in 8 Canadian men will be diagnosed in their lifetime. And when it comes to testicular cancer, actually, even in 2020, even though the survival rate is 95% for men diagnosed with testicular cancer, we still lost over 9,000 men around the world. And that, again, testicular cancer, for a lot of people, they think something that may impact them a little bit later in life, but testicular cancer is actually the most common cancer in men between the ages of 15 to 39. So we do a lot to raise awareness around that, encouraging more men to self-check, just like our female counterparts do so when it comes to breast cancer and checking for lumps, doing something very similar when it comes to testicular cancer, and then encouraging men, get into the doctor. The best thing you can do is take action, talk to a professional when things don't seem like they're quite right.
And Evan, early diagnosis is so important, and I think part of the reason why recovery rates for prostate cancer have significantly improved over the years. So what are some of the major reasons for that positive outlook?
I think there's a variety of things. I know when we look at it, a big thing, we deliver these sessions that are called men's health talks. And again, it's a lot of educating more men, increasing men's health literacy, understanding that prostate cancer, there's not necessarily a check engine light that comes on. There's not a lot of symptoms often associated with prostate cancer. So we do a lot to really push men, encouraging them get a PSA test done when you pass the age of 40. Generally, the typical male, we encourage that conversation with their doctor around the age of 50. But for men with a family history, men of African, Caribbean descent, we encourage them to start the conversation around 40. And then when it comes to just that positive outlook, and there has been a significant increase in just the improvements in treatment. A lot more active surveillance where doctors are able to monitor the prostate cancer while it remains isolated. And that's the biggest thing that we typically tell men is catching it while it's in the prostate really is life-saving. If you catch it early, your survival rate beyond 5 years is about 98%. If you're not going in for your annual PSA test, that drops significantly. Even if you catch it late, it drops to about 26%, your chance of living beyond 5 years. So pretty staggering difference there. And again, a lot of this is that onus for all the men on this call that are in that 40, 50 or older age bracket. Get into your doctor, get your annual PSA test done. Just like you go in and change your winter tires at this time of year, it's important to take care of your own asset that is yourself.
Listening to Life Unrehearsed, Matt Del Vecchio here, and I'm talking about men's health and well-being for Movember with their spokesperson, Evan Connor. Over the years, Movember, Evan has taken on a much greater role in their focus on mental health and suicide prevention because it is becoming an increasingly important concern, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, generally, I think there has been some significant improvements just in the dialogue around mental health. I know for myself and my friend group, looking at the pandemic that we just went through, I think one of the silver linings was the fact that it was a little bit more socially acceptable to say that you're struggling and not doing so well, but there's still a ways to go. And I know there's some pretty startling statistics when it comes to men's mental health and suicide in particular. Like right now around the world, we lose a man to minute to suicide, and that I'm not misspeaking when I say that. That's a man a minute. And here in Canada, 3 out of 4 suicides are by men, and suicide is actually the second leading cause of death for men between the ages of 15 to 45. So that just shows we're losing men far too soon, and a lot of this stems from the fact we grew up with this mentality of suck it up or tough it up, or I'm sure as men, we've all heard the phrase man up, and guys aren't allowed to have feelings and keep things internalized. And we're really trying to flip that notion on its head by encouraging more men to talk, raise their hand, and just say, like, I'm not doing okay. And we all play a role in creating those environments for our friends, our family, our colleague to feel comfortable coming forward when they are going through a tough time and say, hey, can we chat? Because we see that just talking really can be life-saving.
Talking with Evan Connor, spokesperson for Movember, and Evan, Movember has made tremendous strides, especially on this topic that you're talking about now. Communication can be difficult and challenging, especially for men, and like you're saying, I think we're seeing a little bit more comfort levels of men being able to talk, but still have a long ways to go. And I'd like to get as we wrap it up here, Evan, some of the suggestions or recommendations for those who are suffering from mental health.
I would really encourage them to not be shy about reaching out, opening up. It's difficult. I know as a man myself, and it's something that I've had to get better at, is just acknowledging sometimes, like, I'm going through a tough time. And again, the severity of what each person deals with will vary, but it's important to feel comfortable putting your hand up, saying, I'm not doing so well. Having those serious conversations with the people in your life. And I think for a lot of guys, they want to talk about what's going on. They think society won't let them, but I've seen firsthand with my own friend group, once we start the dialogue and acknowledging stress, anxiety, depression is real, we all have had moments of feeling that way. It's important that we normalize the discussion and just lean in and be there with one another. And again, sometimes it's just picking up the phone, checking in on each other. And my biggest thing would be, if you are someone on this call that's struggling, like, don't be afraid to call your friend, your family member, just say, hey, do you have time to talk? And just open up and let them know what's going on. And we see so much, like I said previously, like, just talking really can be life-saving. So don't feel like you have to keep these things suppressed. I'm sure everyone there has someone out there that they can reach out to, and I just strongly encourage them to do so.
All right, Evan, and encouraged to do so. Movember may be 1 month of the year where we do talk about this. This is absolutely a 12-month, around-the-year issue, and really want to thank you, Evan, for coming on Life Unrehearsed here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. Have a great rest of your day.
All right, that's Evan Connor, spokesperson for Movember. You just have to look up Movember, do a Google search there, and you'll find out a lot of information and great resources. Next up on Life Unrehearsed, the future state of our healthcare system with Dr. Lawrence Rosenberg. You know, technology will play a big part in how we'll be able to take care of ourselves a little more often. We're going to get his take on that. That's going to be coming up after the CTV News Update.